This is my first retreat with you, Rupert, and I've heard you say that the one thing the separate self can't tolerate is exposure, being looked at.
Yes.
So here goes. I need help with what I know is my belief that right now at this moment I'm a bunch of sensations, changing thoughts, perception. I haven't been able to get knowingly beyond that.
Okay, so what is it that knows or is aware of this bundle of changing thoughts and sensations?
A knowing. That's all I can come up with.
Yeah, but it's you that knows them, yeah? It's you that knows your thoughts. Your thoughts are known, yes? As your thoughts pass by, the sound of my words appear and disappear, you are aware of them.
Yes.
You are aware of the sight of this room.
Yes.
You are aware of the sensation of the hand on your hand on the mic. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are aware of this flow of thoughts, images, feelings, sensations, perceptions. And I is the name you give to that which knows or is aware of your experience.
Yes.
I'm aware of my thoughts. I perceive the world. I hear your voice. In each of these statements, I is the name we give to the knowing or the aware element in all experience. Yes?
Yes.
You talk about my thoughts, suggesting that your thoughts belong to me. There is someone there to whom your thoughts belong or to whom your thoughts appear. Yes? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. Or let me ask you another question. Would you agree that your thoughts are continually appearing and disappearing?
Yes.
And do you feel that when a thought disappears, a little bit of you disappears with it?
No.
No. So, obviously, it is not your experience that you are identical to a thought. If you were identical to a thought, then when a thought disappeared, you'd feel, oh, there, a little bit of me has gone with that thought. And then when a new thought appeared, you'd feel a new aspect of myself has arisen. But you don't feel that. You feel that you are there all the time.
Well, there's a blankness that appears that...
Okay, to what does it appear? When you say it appears, to whom?
I am aware that there's a blankness.
Tell us about that, when you say, I am aware of the blankness, tell us about the I that is aware. Don't tell us about what you're aware of. In other words, don't tell us about your thoughts, your sensations, the blankness, the sound of my voice, the sight of this room. Tell us about the I that you refer to when you say, I am aware of such and such.
It's unnameable.
Okay, it's unnameable, but it is also yourself. You call it I. Presumably you use the word I for that which is yourself. Yes?
Yes.
So it's unnameable, you're quite right, but why do you find it so hard to name it? You're quite right, by the way, it is ultimately unnameable, but why do you find it so hard to name it?
Because there's so much emphasis on everything else.
No, but now that we are giving the emphasis to yourself,
okay.
You could, it's true, you may have ignored yourself all these years, now you're giving emphasis to yourself, so ideally you should be able to name it, but you can't, and rightly so. But why can't you? Why do you find it difficult to find a word for it apart from I? Okay, let me try to suggest an answer and tell me whether it sounds true in your experience. The reason why you can't say anything about yourself other than the fact that I am aware of whatever it is you're aware. In other words, the fact that you can't say anything about yourself apart from simply I am aware is that when you go in yourself to the fact of being aware, you don't find anything there with objective qualities. It's not cold, it's not hard, it's not it doesn't have a particular size, it doesn't have a gender, it doesn't have a shape. So if I were to ask you, for instance, just describe this jug, or describe the feeling of your hand on the mic, or describe this curtain, or describe this room, or describe the person sitting next to you, you would immediately be able to say something about all of those things. And everything you say about them would be some kind of objective quality. Mm-hmm. It's cold, it's hard, it's light, it's dark, it's large, it's small, etc. When you go to the simple fact of being aware, which is in fact your innermost experience, you can't find anything objective there to define with an adjective.
There is one.
Okay, what's that?
It's so small.
It's so small, okay. Well, that is, I'll just allow that. That is your mind's sweet way of saying, I used to think that I had a certain size, that I was this size, I was quite large, I was this size, but now when I look at myself is so much smaller than the body that I used to think that I was. And so you imagine it as something tiny. It is the best your mind can do. Mm-hmm. It's not quite accurate. What would be more accurate would be to say it doesn't have any size at all. It's not even tiny. However, your mind can't think of something that has no size. Try now to think of something that doesn't have a size. You can't. So, because of that, the mind says it's tiny. Other people, when they try to describe their self, they say it's vast, by which they mean it is the vast container in which all my experience appears. So using the same line of reasoning that you've used, they say, well, I used to think that I was just my body, but now I see I am that in which my body, sensations, perceptions, etc. appear. Therefore, what I am must be bigger than my body. In fact, what I am is that in which my perceptions of the world appear, and therefore I must be bigger than the world. And therefore they say, I am vast, which is again an innocent way the mind has of trying to describe what we essentially are. But what we essentially are is neither vast, nor is it tiny. It literally, it has no dimensions. But it's not possible to try to think now of something with no dimensions. You can't. So in face of the mind's inability to imagine or describe something with no dimensions, the mind translates the dimensionless nature of ourselves into its own language. And it says either I am vast or I am tiny. That is a kind of innocent way of the mind trying to define ourself.
I'd be cheating myself if I didn't tell you what thought is coming up now.
Please do.
The thought is coming up. Remember what Rupert said, not to believe a thing he says.
Absolutely right.
It's just...
No, you're doing exactly the right thing. You're doing exactly what I recommend doing. Consider what I say and think, no, that's not my experience. Don't just say yes because he wants me to say yes.
Right, that's exactly what...
Good,
Yeah.
okay. So...
A lot of what you say
Forget-
I don't experience. It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So forget what I said about yourself being without dimensions. Let's stick with what you said, that yourself is tiny. Yeah. So tell us more about this tiny self. Where is it located?
In memory. It's almost as if it's the separate
To take a
self.
memory of your childhood. Okay, so this memory appears as an image in your mind. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what size are the objects that appear in this image? Or let me just ask you this question. How large is an image in your mind? What size is an image?
It doesn't have a size.
Okay, that's true. But you said that when I asked you where this tiny self was located, you said it was located in your memory.
Mm-hmm.
And you now say that your memory has no size. Now, how can something that is tiny fit in something that has no size? I'm not asking you to believe anything, I'm just questioning what you've just said, showing the contradiction of what you've just said. You said myself is tiny, and then you said myself is located in a memory or an image, and then you agreed that the image has no size. So now we have a model where a tiny self is located in something that has no size. How can that be? Is that really your experience?
What's happening is sort of like an overthrow of...
Let's just talk about yourself. Just the self that you feel yourself to be now, whether it's a separate self or this kind of self, or it's just yourself we're talking about. Let's not qualify it. We're trying to find out about yourself. Mm-hmm. And you said it's tiny, and you said this tiny self is located in memory. So it's now my turn to say that I don't believe what you're saying. So I'm pushing you a bit, because what you've said doesn't make sense. It's a contradiction. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's a contradiction is because you're not looking clearly at yourself. You're telling us about ideas about yourself. First of all, it's tiny. Then when I push a bit hard, you say this tiny self is located in memory, and I'm now shining a light on what you're saying and showing that what you're saying is not really coming from your experience. Mm-hmm. It's coming from your beliefs. So this is the process of really finding out in your own experience what you are.
You're right, they're just ideas.
Okay, now, are you an idea? An idea is a thought or an image that comes to you, yes?
Yes.
That you are aware of. take the image of your kitchen at home at the moment. That's an image. It appears to you when I suggest it, and already it has vanished. Yes, you are not that image. That image is just something that comes and it goes. You remain. Take an image of your childhood. It comes and already it's vanished. That image is not yourself. You are not a collection of images. Yes, you are that which knows or is aware of the images. You are also the field in which the images arise. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Don't say yes if don't agree with me if it's not.
No, I get it.
But you're not a thought, and you're not an image. What about the sensation of your hand on the mic? Is that sensation essential to you? Only something that is essential to you can be your nature or your essence.
No.
No. So now, what are you? Well, let's go back to my question. You say, I am tiny. Where is this tiny self located in your experience?
It doesn't really exist.
If you didn't exist, then you would not be having an experience now. Who would be having the experience if you didn't exist? What would be present to know the experience?
Nothing.
Yeah, but you are having an experience now.
Yes.
So it's not quite right. It's not your experience to say, I don't exist. You are experiencing yourself now, yes? You are having the experience of being myself.
Yes.
It is you who is experiencing.
Yes.
Yeah, so you do exist, or you are present.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us about that you. I would suggest, but you won't like this, but I'm still going to suggest it. I would suggest that, again, when you say, I don't exist, you do so, what you really mean, this is another innocent way of your mind saying, I feel that I don't exist because I can't find myself as an object of experience. That's what I would say, but you don't like me suggesting that, so I'm not going to say that to you.
No, I like that.
You like that? Okay.
Yes. I'd
Good.
like to write it down.
Okay. So when you say, I don't exist, can we agree that what you really mean is that you do have a sense of being myself, but when you look for that self, you can't find anything that you can say, there it is. And because the mind can't find it or know it as an object, in its innocent way it says, well, it can't be there then. I don't exist. Well, that is the mind's rather childish way, innocent way of saying, I can't find the essence of myself. Mm-hmm. Just because I can't find it doesn't mean it's not there. Can you see the space in this room?
Visually?
How else might you see it?
I can see it visually, but no,
You can see the space?
Yeah.
Let's not pursue that line of What I was hoping you would say is, no, I can't see the space because I can't see the space, so I presume that you can't see the space. But just because, let me speak from my own experience, just because I can't see the space doesn't mean that I'm not experiencing it. I am experiencing the space, relatively speaking, but at the same time I can't see it. In other words, just because I can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That would have been an illustration, an example to illustrate the fact that just because you can't see yourself or find yourself as an object of experience doesn't mean that you don't exist.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Sorry?
You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so let's perfect. So
Yeah.
let's go. We're beginning to meet now. You are absolutely certain that you are, that I am. You have the feeling of being myself. Not an extraordinary feeling, just the ordinary feeling of being myself.
Yes.
And this feeling of being myself accompanies all your experience, whatever the content of your experience is.
Yes.
But when you look for what it is that gives you this undeniable sense of being myself, you can't find it. So the mind in its childish way says, oh, in that case myself must not exist. But you know that that is not true. You know that you are present. So what would be the natural thing to conclude from this? Not to believe, what would be just to restate what you have just discovered. It would be to say, I undoubtedly am. I myself is undoubtedly present and aware, but it has no objective features. In other words, I am undoubtedly present and aware, but I never appear as an object in experience or an object of experience. I'm just reformulating. Is it true of your experience what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, if what I am in my experience of myself, if what I am is undoubtedly present and aware, but has no objective qualities, how do I know that it has an age, or a gender, or a shape, or a size, or a nationality, or a location?
Can't know.
You can't know, and you don't know. So if you stay just close to your experience, I undoubtedly am. But what I am has no objective qualities. We cannot say I am tiny, because something that is tiny has an objective quality. We cannot say I am vast, because something that is vast has an objective quality. We cannot say I am female or male, because these are objective qualities. We cannot say I have a certain age, because having certain age is derived from an objective experience. We cannot say I am even located anywhere, because anything that was located somewhere in time or space would have to be observable or knowable. We can say this glass is located in space. Yes, but why? Because it has a feature that we can see or observe. But if our self has no objective qualities and therefore no dimensions, it is not extended in time, it doesn't last in time, and it's not manifest in space, what legitimacy is there to our belief that it is something that is located in time and space? There is none. It's just a belief. It's just an old hangover from believing that what I am is in some way a collection of thoughts or sensations. I'm not asking you to believe anything, I'm just stating the facts of your experience. What I am asking you to do is to trust those facts. In other words, to trust your experience. Now, is there anything that I have said that is not your experience? Okay, I'm going to go a little bit further. So having seen that you are undoubtedly present, and having seen also that you cannot find yourself in time or space, what is the common word for something that doesn't appear in time?
Eternal. Eternal.
Perfect. And what is the common word for something that has no finite dimensions?
But I think you've called it dimensionless.
Yeah, a little bit more common a word than that. Has no dimensions. Or something that is not finite. Because something that is finite has a dimension. It lasts in time or space. What would be another way of saying?
My friend back here says infinite.
Infinite. Infinite is just another way of saying not finite. So what you've just said about yourself without realizing is that in my experience of myself, I am eternal and infinite. That's what you just said about yourself. I'm just reformulating it in slightly more sophisticated economical language. But I haven't added anything to what you said about yourself. Now, you previously probably thought that these words, eternal and infinite, are metaphysical, philosophical, abstract terms that refer to something that you know nothing of. Yes, you just know your ordinary experience of that you don't know anything about the eternal or the infinite. But actually, you've now just looked at yourself and said, in my own experience of myself, I am eternal and infinite.
There is going to be a recording of this, yes?
Well, there is a recording, and of course you're welcome to it, but what is much more than the recording of the conversation is the fact that you have gone in your experience to yourself, and you have, as it were, seen, in inverted commas, because it's not a visual scene, you have understood, you have tasted, you have experienced yourself as you are. And as a result of that, and as a result of my coaching you, you have added names, given names to yourself. You have said, yes, if I go to myself, I find myself eternal and infinite. You have had that experience. But it is more important for you to refer to that experience than to refer to the recording. Now, if you find it difficult to trace your way back to yourself because of the old habits of thinking and believing, I am a cluster of thoughts and sensations as you used to believe 10 minutes ago, then by all means use the recording, but only use the recording to help you trace your way back to yourself. And having you listened to it 2 or 3 times, then trash it, because you'll have your own pathway. Mm-hmm. You won't need the recording anymore. You just go there again and again until the experience of yourself as you are doesn't feel extraordinary as it may do at the moment. But as you get accustomed to knowing yourself in this way, you begin to become familiar with yourself. Mm-hmm. You begin to feel, this is my new identity. And then you gradually allow this new understanding of yourself to infiltrate the way you think and feel, and in time the way you act and relate.